Welcome to the RS Nerd Herd podcast for Thursday, December 1st, 2022. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Baum, and on today's episode, the nerds will be discussing our progress in Fresh Start Worlds, go over the December future updates, and we'll give our thoughts on the Runescape gods. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the episode. So for today, it's going to be me, Adam Baum. I got my friends Tom Runestar and Kelly Gladiator. How are you two doing today?
Good, fam.
Doing great.
All right. So what have you two been up to? It's been a few weeks since Kelly's been on. Has anything special been going on?
No.
Nothing.
Hell, no.
You had to have been pretty busy in real life. There has to be something.
Yes. Just navigating adulting. So that's good times. And then I think one time I accidentally missed because I forgot we were doing the podcast, so I really wasn't adulting that day, but I acted like I was. So my bad.
That's fair. That's fair. Roofstar, you have anything special going on?
Not a whole lot in the home life, really. Just getting ready for the holidays. Had one pass, and now, had one holiday pass, and now going on to the next.
Yeah, so Thanksgiving just came by. Did you guys get together with family at all?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Went to the in-laws.
Was that here in Minnesota, or did you go off somewhere else to visit them?
No, it's just next city over. For them, my parents are the ones that live out of state, out in Tennessee. So just the one celebration, and then it was easy weekend after that.
Yeah, we had a big family get together over here. We had, I think, like what was it? My parents, myself, my sister, her husband, my adoptive sister, and her three kids, and her boyfriend. So, and then my aunt and my cousin. So like we had a huge get together over here over Thanksgiving. Got to watch the Vikings play. Got to watch the Vikings win. That was nice.
Yep.
Especially after that big defeat to Dallas. That was kind of a whooping that we got from them. But yeah, so I had a pretty awesome Thanksgiving myself. And then I've just been, besides RuneScape, I slowly started falling out of the Fresh Start worlds for a little bit. We'll get into that more a little later. But and then I also had the new Pokemon games came out, so I've been like diving hard into that. So I've just finished those up, collecting all the Pokemon for those. So now I'm really just going through and making teams for competitive play. But besides that, I haven't really done much. Uh, yeah, in work, nothing's really changed. Just kind of living life. Have either of you got any big accomplishments on your main accounts at all?
Yes. You go first.
I just said I haven't on my main account.
Oh.
I haven't really touched my main account in a bit. I've been fishing next to Adam.
What? You guys are fishing without me? That's a little rude.
Top of waterfall. It's a party up here. Shout out to Polish Gillenor's champion up here.
What?
He's up here fishing with us too. Well, fishing with me right now.
Yeah.
He has no idea that he's on the show right now. Welcome, Polish Gillenor's champion.
Dang, he's awesome. No, yeah, I finally got 120 divination, and then I was gonna go for 200 mil, but I took a little detour and got 200 mil cooking, and now I'm abandoning all my plans, and now I'm going for 200 mil woodcutting. So, yeah.
Woodcutting's the one I'm doing right after fishing, so
it is. Oh.
I'll be joining you. What are you doing in that?
What? Crystal trees.
Crystal trees? Alright, so I'll join you for a bit. You'll probably be closer to finishing than me because I'm still 110. You're at 120 already, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yep, I am 157 mil.
Alright, so yeah, by the time I finish fishing here, I probably will get about 20 mil or so, I'd guess, with you before you have to go fly off and pass me in something else.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I haven't done finished anything on my main account. I've just been sitting up here. I mean, I guess I've gotten like 30, 40 mil fishing experience. That's something, but it hasn't
Yeah.
hit my goal yet. So I mean, it hasn't really. It doesn't feel like I've accomplished anything because I'm still doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. But
But
you made some extreme gains on your Fresh Start Worlds account. So that's good,
I
right?
did for a while. I don't think I'm gonna 99 everything because I kind of took a little bit of a break there. I got sick for a while, so I missed like 4 or 5 days. And then
Mhm.
when I was done being sick, I just kind of wasn't in the mood to do anything. So like most the best weeks of Fresh Star World, I slacked on. So I've missed out on an opportunity to get the most XP, but that's my own fault. But speaking of
Yeah.
Fresh Start Worlds, why don't we get into talking about what we've done there? So I know Tom, you got some achievements done in Fresh Start Worlds. Why don't you tell us about those?
Well, I got a couple pets earlier, like I think in the first couple weeks when because I had a bunch of issues in the first couple weeks, I should say. So I was just like excited that I got like the baby Yaga pet at like 10K construction XP, and
That's
I
unreal.
I got the Newton at I think it was like level 50 or 60 magic. Um, and then I was just kind of content with, yeah, I, I'm not gonna get too much because life's been busy lately, and then I just kind of went hard into construction, and I recently just got 99 construction.
Very nice.
Now I'm kind of working on farming, divination, and archaeology all at the same time.
Oh jeez, yeah.
Ho-
That's
Hopefully, I get one or two of those.
well. If you ever feel like getting the combat ones, I don't have any issue running through and getting you 99s in any of those.
Oh, and thieving.
Oh
Don't
yes,
forget
the
thieving.
Thieving Cape's gonna look. I want to try to 120 that because that cape looks awesome. But they did nerf actually. That it's not going to come up in our notes, but they did nerf the experience rates from the new herb area. I forget the name of those knights there, but the knights that you thieve for the new rune crafting items, they reduced the XP rates because they were too good. So unfortunately, that's not a method anymore for those of you that were using that method or thinking about using it. The XP rates are lower, so you'll have to probably go back to safe cracking. But it was nice for a time. Uh, and I don't think you've been on since you created your Fresh Start account. Did you? Have you, Kelly?
Oh, I played. I bought 2 bonds, but I didn't play every day. I think maybe I've played like I don't know, 10 days on it. Um, it's not a member right now, but I was thinking about starting it up again. I just I feel like this time of year I kind of drop off Scape a little bit. And that's just like with every account, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back.
So, do you want to tell us what you were doing? Because I don't think anyone who's listened to the show heard what kind of account you created for that. So, you want to tell them about what that is?
Yeah, so in my Fresh Start Worlds, because I was so against it, I decided to create it, but add a little bit more of a challenge to it so I can only level up in dungeoneering. So I don't leave any floors to do anything. So it's really difficult because my Slayer level is 1 and I can't kill any crawling hands. And that's where you guys come in and help me.
Yeah, so I think it's a really cool idea. You've put a couple of videos up on YouTube, so if you guys want to check them out, make sure to we'll leave a link in like the comment section. We'll pin at the top comment with links to the videos if you want to check them out because they're really fun. They're
Mhm.
the group's just going around dungeoneering and just BS and kind of just what we do in our free time, but with some restrictions on Kelly's
Yeah,
account.
it sucks. I mean, like the first few levels of like summoning and divination and agility, I didn't think were gonna happen, and it just makes the game that much more exciting when you find a pale wisp after like 6 dungeons. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, and so I personally, for Fresh Start World, like I said, I kind of took a break there. Missed out on a lot of really good experience. The only thing I've done is I followed in Tom's footsteps, took some notes from him, and was got some construction levels. I'm and I unlocked everything I need for Prif except for the agility levels. I
Nice.
forgot about the agility levels. So now I'm doing a wilderness course right now trying to get those. And then once I finish that, I'm actually really close to having all the level requirements to do every quest in the game. So I might try to make that my big final goal to get the quest cape on that account. I think that'd
So
be a
let
good
me ask
challenge.
you two a question since
Yeah.
I don't really leave dungeoneering. How's the market in Fresh Start Worlds? Is it as bad as I thought it would be, where like everything is outrageously expensive, or is it not that big of a deal?
I would say it wasn't at first, but now it's kind of nuts. like
Really?
like within I don't know. It's really hard to buy things unless you know what the price it's going for because the grand exchange price isn't accurate at all. I don't feel.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of people just sitting in 211 trying to buy and sell higher priced items, and then a lot of people mocking them for trying to do that.
Yeah.
There's
So
certain things that are reasonably priced. The fortunate components I'm seeing people trying to buy a lot of now, and
Hmm.
they're going for somewhere like 2 to 3 mil a piece at the time of recording this, where it's just kind of crazy to see the the price comparison compared to the main game because main game right now is like a 1.2 mil or something for a fortunate component. Unless they've
Yeah,
gone up, I guess I haven't looked, but
mm,
and once
but
those fortunate components like get used, like right now they should be in theory more expensive based on like conversion rates, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's once they convert into the main game though, people are going to be losing some money on those purchases unless they're getting good drops from bosses. I guess they still have the double drop chances. So that might be what people are trying to like get their supplies for. They're paying a little bit extra right now, but if you get a couple good drops because everything's selling high, you might be able to make profit. I personally haven't bought like any gear at all, so I'm still just running the gear they give you at the beginning of the game.
mhm.
Well, what about, I was just thinking about like skilling wise, like getting 99 construction and stuff. Like, how's the supplies? Or
Uh,
do
it,
you,
it's
pretty
super
easy when you
expensive.
do Proteans.
Yeah, that's
oh, there's
basically it.
proteans in Fresh Start Worlds?
Yeah,
After
well,
the competitive period ended.
Oh,
you have
yeah,
all the
I
keys you
never
got.
mind.
So if you did enough quests, you got 400 treasure hunter keys.
Oh my goodness.
Because
Okay.
you got keys for all the quests you did, so you just stockpiled them.
Okay.
You stockpile those, you stockpile them for your daily, so you get 400 to just spend, and then I convert everything into protean planks, and then just sit there on a workbench making flat packs.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
was
I
that was
haven't
how I
played since that was allowed. Like Treasure Hunter was allowed.
yeah that started last week,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
For
so
like
it's been
actual items, like the mahogany planks, I think main game is like 1200 GP, or is it 800? I can't remember. But like,
they're around a K
um,
or so, yeah.
they're like 4K in fresh start.
And they're slow to get too.
Yeah,
They're real slow to get. So
and it
yeah,
might be getting better over time, but
Oh.
Yeah, but besides that, let's see, what else have I done in Fresh Start Worlds? I think that's really about it. Can't think of anything else I've done that's of no. Oh, I did get my Challenger Halo. They finally gave that to me like 2 days ago. I got it like on Tuesday.
Nice.
So yeah, I got my Challenger Halo finally, so I can trade that over whenever it's done. Yeah, competition period ended. Congratulations to anyone who was able to get their Halos. If you got more than one, dang, that's really impressive because getting one was hard enough and just ah, it was boring. So if you were able to go out and grind multiple, congratulations. Hope you make a bunch of money on that because that's quite an accomplishment. All right, so next on our docket, what do we have? We have the December updates. So I'm just gonna quickly note this. I know on the 22nd there was a game crash. Jagex talked about it. There about what happened. I'll just quickly go over it. There a post on it. So was it the 22nd it happened? Yeah. So on Tuesday, November 22nd, one of our external data centers providers experienced a site-wide issue involving a power failure, which resulted in full downtime of any service housed there. Our engineers worked to get it back online as quickly as possible, and services were restored early morning at approximately 2:05 game time. Unfortunately, our systems have recovered from the hosting outage. The login systems have since struggled at times, and players may find themselves having being unable to log in. We've identified what caused these login system issues, and we believe that it should remain stable, barring any future unseen happenings. And we're sorry for any ongoing disruption that follows Tuesday's hosting center outage. We're working on restoring it to full stability. We understand that you're probably curious about the reasonings for the outage, but we don't have any more information to share at this time. Discussions of ongoing rewards for making good have been announced. So hopefully Jagex will find some kind of like 48-hour game time, or maybe they'll extend the fresh start servers or something for another day or so. Because I know at the time they went out, I think it was still the highest the XP rates when the servers went down, so people missed out on their last few hours of getting like their best XP. But
Yeah.
if they don't, it was down for a day. It sucks if you missed out. I know a couple of our other co-hosts, Tom and Tony, weren't able to play for the day. It actually didn't affect any of the three of us because we were too busy during the week to actually play. But JX apologizes for that. They made an announcement on their homepage. Just thought I'd recognize that they did admit that there was something going on. So if you weren't able to play, that was why. But let's get into the December updates. So December, we have the Christmas events that are going to be going on, but before that, we have the final quest of the year and the final of the Legacy of Zamorak storyline. This quest is going to be called Succession. Um, I don't let's say team up with Adristea and help her track down Bilratch before he completes his ritual and becomes unstoppable. It's climactic thrill ride with a truly electrifying musical score. To begin your quest, week with Adristea in Falador on December 5th. So that's going to be just next week on Monday that we'll be seeing the new quest. The requirements for it are the Daughter of Chaos quest, the Infernal Puzzle Box Tier 5 unlocked, and you'll have to have completed the Civil War mini quests 1 through 3 and have 60 mining and smithing. Uh, some of the rewards, there's going to be a combat lamp, prismatic lamp, but an upgrade to the puzzle box to tier 6, which, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's going to add it to your tool belt, freeing up an inventory spot. And one of the bonuses for that infernal puzzle box is you no longer will have adrenaline decay outside of combat. So that's going to free up one of your relics if you're using the I forget the name of the relic, but the I don't remember the name of that relic or from it
No, but
archaeology.
I liked it. I used it for a while, but I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, persistent rage. I think it is.
Ah,
I think it's persistent rage. But yeah, that relic you'll no longer need to use because you'll have a tool belt item keeping your energy up. So, or your adrenaline up. So that'll be nice to free up one of those. There's also a new. I I don't know if I'm understanding this right. It's like a level 30 agility bladed dive, like mini version, so it doesn't do damage, a lesser bladed dive, so to speak. So you'll be able to use this as a new movement style. And if you unlock the regular bladed dive, it overrides it. So if you've already unlocked bladed dive, this will just kind of work as a on cooldown version of a movement buff. So that'd be kind of cool.
yeah, definitely.
I know that was one of the things that was slowing Thomas down on his grind for agility
Yes.
for the high scores was having to not having bladed dive, so he had to go and sit there and unlock it. And this would have been nice to have during the competition period for agility, but you know, can't have everything. Continuing on with the December updates, we have the Advent calendar, which every day you can open up your the Advent calendar under the extras and upgrades section of RuneScape 3 while you're logged in, and claim a free reward item. And I think it's everything from like prismatic stars and lamps and like spring cleaner stuff. Those kind of rewards. Um, we got a new yak track coming. Do either of you do yak tracks consistently?
Yes.
I get about halfway through.
Kelly, do you finish yours or you get
Yes.
about halfway through too?
No, I finish them. They're the heart and soul of this game. No, I'm just kidding. I do, I do finish them though because I am like my quest obsession for some reason translates to Yak Track as well.
You're
So
a
I need to
grinder.
get it done. So I finished it on both accounts last time.
Man,
I
I,
know. Look
that's
at me being
that's
no life.
impressive to finish it
You
like.
can finish mine next time too.
I don't know if that's impressive or sad.
Oh,
So.
that's cool. And so and I think this is the way they're doing it going forward now. The last couple times they've had a skill and kill option for every single task. Do you like that?
Absolutely. I like it, especially for my main, cause um, not to sound like full of myself, but I'm 200 mil and quite a lot of skills. So it would suck if it was like fletching or fire making. Like, come on, man. So I like it a lot that they did that. Do you guys like it?
I'll let
Yeah, it's
Rootstar answer first.
yeah. I mean, it's helpful that I don't have to switch skills, but at the same time, someone who doesn't have those higher levels or higher XPs, um, it wouldn't be the worst thing for me to have it set up the way it used to be. But it is nice to not have to jump around. I can just do like Slayer to to finish it out or something like that. But
Mhm.
I always get caught up in doing something that ends up being just bank standing, like I am right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think I really like having that extra option for kind of the same reason as you that I have a few 200 mils that if I get those skills as both my options, I'm kind of just blocked and I have to use a skip or else I have to just waste time. So having the option to do it, and I like the fact that it's not extremely fast. The skill and kills,
Yeah.
they seem
Mhm.
to be much slower than doing most of the regular methods. So it's like you can continue playing how you want, but you're not going to progress at the fastest rate. But if you want to go as fast as possible, try doing a variety of things. Maybe you'll find something that you like to do. Because I know when I was doing it before, I got into they had me doing clue scrolls. It was like clear 5 clue scrolls. But then I spent like the next hour and a half just doing clue scrolls over and over because I was having such a fun time doing it. So sometimes I find new things that I guess not new things, but things I forgot that I enjoyed doing and just spend time doing it. And I like that if I find one of these tasks, I can just continue doing it after I finish and still get progress onto the next one.
I would agree with you because like the first two yak tracks where it wasn't skill and kill, it was like catch this many jellyfish or whatever. That's how I learned a lot about the game that I ignore because I tend to stay at the same spot for like 6 months. So Tony always gives me a he always makes fun of me because that's how I found out about what was it called? Deep
The Deep
Hub.
Sea Fishing Hub?
Yeah. Yeah, I had
Like
no
5
idea.
years after it had come
Excuse
out.
me, it was 2.5. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm exaggerating a little, but
I know. But yeah, I mean, like, I like the aspect, like, you forget that you liked something, like you said, or you learn something totally new that came out 2 years ago. So I do like that part.
oh yeah, and so one of the other changes they made is they added every 5 tasks you complete, you'll now be getting a new yak coin. And so some of you may have noticed that the previous yak tracker cosmetic rewards and pets used to be available to purchase through oddments. Those recently got removed. And for me, I was really mad about this because I purchased every single thing I missed, but I had taken a break from RuneScape during I think the second and third yak track. I never finished them. So both of those ones I had rewards to get, and I hadn't purchased them with my oddments when they got taken away. So I thought I was going to miss out on those. But they'll be returning through the yak coin that you get every 5 tasks now, where you're able to just purchase one of those previous rewards from a previous track. So that will be cool for anyone who's joining the game late. Maybe you started with Fresh Start World and you see some cool outfit from a previous yak track. You can do the next one and purchase some of those cool rewards. So that'll be a nice way to get those back without having to get it through Solomon Store or through Treasure Hunter. I'm glad we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
Speaking of Treasure Hunter, there will be a new Santa's Grotto Treasure Hunter returning this year for Christmas. And last year it had the green part. Was it the green party or Santa hat? Sorry, they had the green Santa hat on the Treasure Hunter that everyone was throwing their money at. Well, this year they have an entire green Santa outfit. So you got green Santa boots, gloves, bottoms, and tops, along with Christmas jumpers, a penguin jumper, a Guthix jumper, and a Chinchompa jumper. So if you're a collector, uh, there's more treasure hunter rewards for you to go get. If you're, I'd recommend buying, if you really want these items, do not buy treasure hunter keys, buy bonds, sell the bonds on the GE, and buy the rewards with in-game currency. It's probably going to be a more efficient way to get them. It's just, that's just my opinion though. I obviously could be wrong. Maybe you're really lucky and you get these in 5 spins. But from my personal experience, it's just better to buy it with GP if you can afford it. I'm not a big fan of these treasure hunter items that are one-time rewards that we never see come back. I was kind of hoping we'd see the green Santa hat return, but unfortunately we won't be. At least as far as this says, it doesn't say anything about it coming back. So if I'm wrong about that, then great. Then I'm glad that it came back this year. But how do you guys feel about seeing more token rewards hopping on to Treasure Hunter for Christmas?
Getting kind of confusing, to be honest. Like,
I don't really care.
yeah.
I guess for me, I'm just a collector, so I like to get all those cosmetic rewards. I'd much rather see them introduced in like a Solomon store type of thing where it's like, hey, it's Christmas, spend $20, buy the new green Santa outfit. I'd much
Sure.
rather see that than see it put in a random chance mini game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just my opinion, though. I
How are they gonna get $200 out of you?
and that's it. And I get it from a business standpoint. I guarantee they make 10, 20, 30 times more money doing it on Treasure Hunter. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for them not to. But personally, I would just like to be able to buy them and avoid the whole gambling aspect of it. But as long as I think JX came out and recently said like something like 60 or 70% of their revenue came from Treasure Hunter. So it seems like it's not something that we're going to expect to go away. It's
No.
it's what's keeping the game alive. And I love the game so much. I'd much rather have if this is what they have to do to sustain it, I'll live with it.
As long as it works.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it keeps me being able to play the game, I guess I have to be okay with it because I like the game. Finally, we have the presents from the sledge. So this was the what was it? Christmas wrapping paper event that we saw last year. It's returning, same as it was before, and it has 4 new rewards. There's 3 titles: the naughty, the nice, and the Aurora title, and then a exclusive Aurora die.
Oh,
So
cool.
you can look it up on the RuneScape updates page for December. They have a picture of what it looks like. Looks like they have Malevolent armor and the Kopeshes. It looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is an absolutely amazing dye outfit. So if you get a chance to get these dyes, like congratulations. The way you get them is you turn in you skill, play the game, do whatever you normally do, and you will gather wrapping paper. And for every 200 wrapping paper you get, you can turn it in at the Grand Exchange to an NPC, and you'll get a Christmas present, either white, blue, purple, or gold. And depending on which tier you get, white being the lowest tier, gold being the rarest, you'll get some cosmetic or sorry bonus experience rewards and some items, including those dies and titles. So good luck to anyone who's doing that. How do you guys feel about these types of events? Because these ones are personally my favorite. I really like these Easter events and the wrapping paper events where it's just, hey, play the game, do what you're normally doing, and you'll be getting rewarded for just playing the game during like the holiday season. I really like that because I think it gets people into the game at the same time and like interacting with each other and just like getting free rewards from it. I think is pretty cool.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I agree with you. It makes the game a little. It's kind of like a treasure hunt in a way. I have the worst luck in the world, but I do like this concept for sure.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it kind of gets me into the season too. Like back when we were younger, when this game was newer, they had those holiday event things that we do when we're out of school, and it's kind of that same sort of thing. So yeah, a little
Yep.
nostalgia too.
Yeah, and if you're someone like Tony, you get every single rare box like the first one you open. I think he's hit it both the last 2 times he's gotten the gold box like within his first like 20 boxes. It's unreal how lucky he gets with those. But hey, some people have some great luck.
Yeah.
All right, and so our final. Actually, no. I'm gonna before we jump to our final topic. I forgot we had a Black Friday bundle that's going on and is still going on until December 4th. So there's still time if you're listening to this right when the episode comes out. There's still a chance to get in on these Black Friday deals. So I'm just gonna list them off real quick for you. Um, there's looks like about 6 of them. There's a bank booster bond bundle, which gives you 5 bank boosters for a total of 250 more bank spaces for a total of 7 bonds. The more you play the game, the more space you are going to need. I know when my premium membership wore out, I didn't have enough bank space to even put my items into the bank. So I had to buy this bundle, and I'm glad they gave it to me because I did not want to go through and throw a bunch of junk out of my bank. So 250 bank spaces for 7 bonds. There's the premium aura bundle, which gives you the Majorat Desert Pantheon and the Dwarven Instinct aura for 5 bonds. Normally, those bonds I believe would be seven. Just would be 7 bonds or something to get those. So not a bad uh, option. There's the Callista Legendary Pet and growth potions for a total of 6 bonds, which will give you a legendary pet and immediately uh, evolve it to its final stage so you can get all of its powers. You have the same thing for the Tok Ak legendary pet. Sorry, I cannot pronounce those. Zoktok Ak pet. And then there's a keepsake keys die set for another bond. So those pets were 6, and the keepsake keys and dies were 1 bond, and those gives you 2 keys, a prismatic die, and a chameleon die for any of your Solomon store items. So personally, my favorite of those Black Friday sale bundles is the bank booster. I think would everyone else be in agreement that that's probably the best bundle to get?
Yep,
Yeah.
already bought it.
uh, Kelly, did you end up getting it or?
No, this is my first time hearing of this, so no, I haven't
Oh,
done anything.
yeah. So, well, there you go. If you want to buy 7 bonds, there's 5 bank boosters in it for you.
Very cool, very cool.
All right. And so our final topic to the day, we're kind of gonna just kind of uh, ad lib our own little talk about the RuneScape gods. So one thing Tom and I have RuneStar here have been wanting to do is kind of get into discussing more lore topics on the show. And one of the ones I thought would be a nice start would be the gods, because they kind of played a part in every single part of the game's lore, at least since there's been a active story being told throughout RuneScape. So why don't we start at the beginning? When I first started playing RuneScape, there was really only 3 gods, and there was I guess there was more. There was the desert gods, but there was really only 3 major gods that we ever discussed, and that was Saradomin, Guthix, and Zamorak. So when the two of you started playing, was that the same? Did you start playing about the same time as me, like early
Yeah,
2005, 2006 maybe?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you remember when you started which of the gods was your favorite, or did you just not care?
I always, well, when I first looked at it as like good and evil. We always thought Saradomin was good and Samrak was evil, and then I had no idea what Guthix was, but he had his color was green, and green was my favorite color, so here we go.
Kelly, did you have a favorite?
No, I didn't. I fire makes my whole early career of RuneScape, but I will tell you my favorite was that I remember was Armadillo,
All
if
right,
that
so
helps.
Armadillo. So I guess Armadillo did exist in quests, little bits of quests, like the staff of Armadillo. I think they talk about in which was what was the name of that quest? Over in Artie, I forget the name of it. But there were mentions. There was always mentions of other gods, just like there was always a mention of Zeros. We just didn't have his name. But back
Yep.
at the time, for me, I was always a goody two shoes. So I was always
Fair
like, oh, I gotta follow the good god, Sarah, because he's the good guy, and Zamorak's the bad guy, and Guthix is the guy who doesn't want to make a choice.
That's
that was
fair.
that's kind of how I always saw it.
And
What
the
what book did you choose? Horror of the Deep, though.
Oh, I chose Saradomin. I chose
What
the
about
holy
you,
book.
Tom?
I don't think I did that one very early.
Okay.
Like I was really newbie, and I didn't really do quests. I didn't really do combat. I was literally just a skiller.
Nice.
And um yeah, that was like the extent of my playing. Um like I had heard the name Zeros like at some point. I don't remember when. I was like, I have no idea who this is. Whatever. Are like the god swords when those were around.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all grabbed that Sarah sword because it was the best one, or at least for what we would do. And yeah, I just had a uh, mix and match combat equipment, whatever, with a Sarah sword. So
All right. So yeah, so starting off, we really didn't have like much lore to the gods. They were always just kind of figments of like ideas, like good, evil, and neutral. But like as time went on, Kelly already mentioned one of the other gods. They started to develop Armadile and Bando. So you started to get these other gods that started to show up. Also, I guess Zeros kind of shows up around that time. So I'm thinking about like the next major event that kind of pops into my head in terms of like major god events, and that's the God Wars. And so we kind of mentioned the Tom, Tom mentioned he started off with the Sarah sword, but I know about that time was the time I started to like look at like Guthix as more of my favorite god because they started expanding the lore and we got like the Ritual of the Majorat quest line, and I started to see Sarah Dawn as more of just like a we learn about his ascension, essentially becoming a god. He was originally a human. So my whole thought of, oh, he's just the god of good, I started to realize, no, he was more a god of, he was a human who's just as capable of being wrong and evil as anyone else. So I was like, I fell off the whole Saradomin good train and was like, oh, Saradomin's just a human who thinks he's good. And I kind of started following the more of the Guthix idea of let humans rule themselves. I don't know, did anyone else have like changes in opinions that around that the God Wars time ritual of the Majorat era of the lore, or were you still kind of not doing quests?
well, I didn't finish the ritual of the Majorat until last year.
Oh, that's
But
fair.
um like once I did start getting into those quests, it's like yeah, they really portray him as more of like what you would think of um kings of England back in the day. Like they say that they're doing the best for the people, and maybe they're not really doing all that much for the people if you actually ask the people about it.
Exactly. He even had like, and this quest comes out a little later, but the was a Death of Chivalry quest where you see like I don't know if he lets his ego get to him, but he thinks so highly of himself that he's like, well, I'm obviously the one chosen to use this wand. It's totally fine if I do it, and he ends up like corrupting. Um, I forget. I'm trying to remember his name now. One of the
For Owen,
yeah, he ends up corrupting him and turning his body all zombie like, and you're like, oh, maybe you're not as holy and pure and good as you think you are. And I guess that was kind of like you said. I think is a really good example comparing him to a king who's maybe he's trying his best, but his ego and his stuff prevents him from actually doing the things that's right by the people. And Zamorak, I mean, he's just to me he's very clearly just power is right. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. There's only the powerful and the weak. I mean, for me, I guess that's always just I'll never follow that type of logic. I know some people like to play that type of character, and that's totally cool. I'm not judging anyone by that, but I could just never follow that kind of god in a game, even if it is just a video game.
yep, same. I played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic like 15 times, and every time I tried to be evil, I always ended up being good.
Yep, I yeah. Anytime you get a game that has a morale system, I will never be able to do the evil side. Even in a game like Undertale, which I recommend if you haven't played before, people should play it. Where there's a very good reason to play the evil side and go down the dark route just because the story's so good. Still couldn't do it. I'd watch someone else do it instead because I can't bring myself to commit the evil acts. That's just been my personality. So moving along, we after we get the God Wars, I guess we kind of touched on the uh, the ritual of the Majorat storyline. We have the world events. And so this was the point I remember, at least for me, that I started really deep diving into RuneScape lore. So before that point, I played the quests. I remember some of the really big ones, but I didn't really care about like what the overall story of the game was. It wasn't until the world events where they had us picking factions and they Jagex said like the idea was whatever you do in your game, someone else might do something different in their game, and you'd get two completely different events, and they'd play out entirely differently. I thought that was a great idea, and so that's when I started to really try to like look into like the depths of like what the story was. And so for the first world event, we had Zamorak and Saradomin fighting head to head, and I remember distinctly logging in every single day to make sure Saradomin beat Zamorak. I sat. I know people that were switching factions so that they could get the rewards from the other side. I considered those people traitors. They were traitors to the cause. I was out there fighting those siege demons as much as I could to gain as many points for Saradomin as I possibly could.
Gosh.
I was hard on the Saradomin side of that war. Did either of you
Oh.
participate in that? Because that was a fun event.
No, but I love that about you. You're like, every day, man, I was there. That's awesome.
I remember, so that if I remember right, that event was like 2008. Because I think if I remember right, I was a senior in high school about the time that event was going on. And I remember about that time, I was bringing a laptop to school in order to get the most XP gains I possibly could in RuneScape. So I was dedicated at the time.
If you went to school that day.
Well, yeah, if I went to school that day, if I didn't oversleep.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. No, I was still in my hardcore skilling days, so I missed it. Sorry, I would have chosen your choice, Saradomin, but my bad.
But
I
you,
might have messed with it, but I don't really remember if I did or not.
yeah, it was just a PVE event. There wasn't anything all that special going on. It was mostly just kill kill the small NPCs, kill the generals, collect shards. It wasn't all that exciting when you really look into it. The best world event is the next one we're going to talk about, which was World Event 2, the Bird and the Beast, which was Armadile versus Bandos. Did either of you participate in this one?
This one I did. Yes.
Well, this one had a mixture of combat, or PvE combat, gathering, and PvP combat. So this one was really cool because you'd follow these little nodes around, gathering like you'd gather on certain nodes around the world to like power up divine energy for the gods to shoot like big laser cannons or whatever. Not all that important, but there'd be roaming bands of like caravans that would show up, and you had to protect your caravans as they went to these points. So if you were on the opposite faction, you would have these like PvP battles in order to try to kill the caravans before they could return the materials to their base. It was very fun. I remember doing a lot of PvP there, even though I was absolutely horrible at it. I would just try to pick off the weakest players that I could possibly find, and if anyone tried to fight back, I'd run away.
Yeah.
Yeah, for that one, I did both. I'll admit, I joined both factions to get the rewards. But once I was done, I sided with Armadile for that one because Armadile was kind of the god of law and order. So it's kind of like, all right, you're kind of more good than Bandos, who's just the god of war.
Mhm.
So I at this point, I'm still like, if you were to ask me, so this was all 2008, 2009, what god I would follow or what god my favorite was, I would have said Guthix. And to this day, Guthix is still my favorite god. I think he's the most like, how do I want to put it, relatable god, where I feel like he recognized that he didn't have the right to decide how people should live their lives, and they should live by their own choices. And I guess I really related to that. So I really like Guthix for that. But I do want to ask you, at that point in time, so like 2008, had you picked a favorite god?
Negative. It's all the same time frame for me still.
I get, cause yeah, you started about 2006, right? So this is still early
Yeah.
on in your
Yeah,
years.
I think I was still getting 99 cooking.
And Kelly, you said Armadile was kind of your favorite. Was that still the case at that point?
I think so. I don't know if you ever watched, what's it called, the Noob Show.
Oh, the
Noobs
Noob
and
Show. Yeah, I
Freakouts.
loved the Noob Show.
For some reason, at that time, I based the gods off of how he portrayed them.
Oh, everybody
And
did.
so,
Up until
like, yeah, I did care about those three because I just saw them in my head as silly little YouTube characters.
No, that's totally understandable. Like, it's funny you bring that up because I wish I had brought that up back earlier because the Noob Show, I feel like that YouTube content or those videos, that series, kind of just like is what influenced a lot of people's opinions on the gods.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
because
agree.
I
Yeah.
feel like more people even heard their names from the Noob Show more so than they got them from the games. Besides maybe like an item called like examining the or unholy symbol or something. Like you'd hear
Yeah.
Sarah Dom and be like, "Oh, that's the character from the Noob Show." Yeah,
Well,
I
like even to this day, when I see the gods in game, it surprises me because I still see them because it's just like a core childhood memory. The way that he dressed as them in his videos. So the fact that like Sarah Dahlman right now is like chilling in Falador Castle, it still baffles me every time I go up that staircase that he looks like that. So I don't know.
yeah, I'm trying to remember. Was it the Mime mini game? I think it is. That has
Mhm.
the three characters
Yeah.
sitting in and those aren't the exact same designs as the Noob Show, but if you guys are ever wondering, if you ever see the Mime mini game, look out into the crowd. There's like three characters dressed in robes that are very clearly intended to be like references to the gods. That's kind of how the Noob Show depicted them, but or I guess a better way, just go watch the. I'm sure the YouTube videos are still up somewhere.
Yeah, I think someone re-uploaded them,
They
but
have, yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
That those were great. Like early time machinima for RuneScape was great. That was back when like in the day when Chris Archie was still doing like his like PK videos and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
I miss those times. Those are good times.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really think I had a favorite god because I blame it on that, really. But even now, I don't think I do. So,
Really?
yeah. Do you guys?
Oh, Guthix by far is my favorite god. Like it's not
He,
even close.
spoiler alert, he did.
Yeah,
So
I
like
know,
he
but
has
still, like the way I see it is, I'm his like I'm taking on his legacy. Like I'm the world
Oh,
guardian. Like he died so that I could be the hero. That's the way. That's just kind of my vision of it. Like he
okay.
passed his legacy on to me. He's like, you need to do what I couldn't do.
Interesting.
What about you, Runestar? Do you have a favorite god now?
How many or yeah, how many spoilers are we doing in this show?
Or I'm going all
Oh,
the way to the end. So like
Okay.
if it's one of the gods that we haven't talked about, we can wait. Or if
Well, I
it's
think
like if it's a desert god, I guess you could bring up like one of the weird. If it's like Icthalarin or Death or something, if you want to bring one of them up, fine. But
okay. My god isn't in our conversation yet then.
all right, all right. So interesting. I'm curious as to who it's going to be because the next one we're going to bring up. Do we want to bring up Brassica Prime and Marimbo?
yes.
All right. So the third world event, or the one that was supposed to be World Event 3, and then got discarded. Uh, which ended up just becoming the mini game Cabbage Face Punch Bonanza. You have the two joke gods, Marimbo, the god of the monkeys, and Brassica Prime, the god of the cabbage. So Brassica Prime is up there for me. He's like top three.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's only because of the comedy behind it. I love that there's a giant talking sentient cabbage that's just sees everything as a cabbage. Like the Stone of Jazz, for example, is like the giant cabbage of whatever, like the cabbage of power, whatever he calls it. I don't know. Marimbo, I don't really care about. If he were to just disappear, it wouldn't affect me. But I do like Brassica Prime.
Doesn't he have like? Isn't he like wearing a party hat?
Marimbo, I don't even.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
The
Brassica
cabbage
Prime,
thing.
yeah.
Like that is so cool. I love that.
At least I think he is. I'm gonna pull it up now.
I'm pretty sure he's wearing a party hat.
I know the one that you get from the Gower quest, the pet minion that you get, the cabbage minion has it.
Okay.
Um, I'm guessing it wasn't one of those gods either. Your favorite god isn't Marimbo.
Correct. Correct.
all right. All right. So I'm just gonna quickly touch on there was the god Tuska for the official third world event, the giant god of the boars and the called. Why am I spacing on their name now? It doesn't matter what they're called. The giant like yeah, I forget their names, but Tuska came. The gods teamed up to fight against him, and the godless ended up winning. Who was in that one? There was Saradomin, Armadile, Zamorak, and the godless fought against Tuska. Did either of you participate in that event?
No, I didn't, but I remember
Same.
it.
Yeah, I remember this was about the time the game really started taking a nosedive in terms of like players at least
Yeah.
participating in the world event because the first few events, I think for the first week, like let me pull it up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, for the very long time, Tuska was winning every event because there wasn't enough people getting on to actually do the event. And so they
Wow.
had to nerf it like 2 weeks in because the lore of it was Tuska was coming to eat the planet,
Yeah,
and it
I
was
remember
getting
that.
to the point where if Tuska won even like 2 more times, the whole planet was going to be destroyed. So Jagex had to kind of like nerf it so that we could actually win. And then
Yeah.
at that point, the Godless kind of just spanked it, and the Godless won every single day after that. I sided with the Godless on during this world event, and that was mostly because I saw the Godless as the closest thing to Guthix. This is where you're gonna start to see I become kind of a Guthix fanboy. This is where I'm kind of like, oh no, Guthix the real deal. He's the only real god. I'm kind of a Guthix simp.
That's all right.
But
At least he's a good one to simp over.
well, yeah, he
You
had,
know.
in my opinion, he had the right ideas of let the people decide how the people live. Like the gods don't have the right to interfere. They should just be there as almost like guardians to protect it from any outside influence. I respected that.
Mhm.
And then after that world event, I kind of don't have any more memories of like major god events up until the elder gods start popping into the lore. And so that I don't know the years on the elder when the elder gods started to really become important, but that's about the time. Right before them is when we start to see Zeros return and Saren return. So I'm going to guess, Runestar, that Zeros is your god. Just is Zeros the one you were thinking of?
Nope.
Oh, really? All right. Is, is it Saren?
Nope.
All right. Well, then I have absolutely no idea who this is. So Zeros and Saren are kind of like they're higher tier gods from like the ones we've been dealing with here. So this is where Jagex came out with the god tier hierarchy. So you have like the low tier like demigods, which are like the desert pantheon, like Ixthalarin and all of those other gods that I can't think of their names right now. There's too many of them. Then there's like the middle tier gods, which are or the tier threes, the Saradomin, Bandos, Zamorak, Guthix. Or sorry, I guess Guthix is technically tier two, but that's not I guess not all that important. The tier two gods, Saren and Zeros, and then they introduce the highest tier of god, the Elder Gods. And so I feel like we kind of got these at the same time. This is where the lore in RuneScape for me like really started to like pick up. Where I think Jagex finally decided, hey, let's tell a long running story. And for me, at the time the Elder God story came out, it was my favorite time for to play RuneScape. So this is I think 2016 or so.
Mhm.
I'm estimating maybe it was a little later, 2017, where we get Children of
Lovely.
Ma. I'm just looking it up here. Children of Ma quest.
Children of Ma.
Yeah, 2016. So we get the continuation of the Majorat and the Friendscape lore. We find out the connection between Zamorak and Zeros and how Zamorak betrayed Zeros to become a god himself. And all of this lore, which at some point I feel like we have to do a real deep dive in on one of these episodes and discuss like in depth with everybody. But this is where I think Jagex was like at their best in storytelling. At least for me, I really loved this stuff up until the end. We'll talk about it at the very end of this. But the Elder Gods. So let's see if I can remember all of them. We had Ma, who was Zeros and Saren's mother. We have Jazz, who created the Stone of Jazz and indirectly created like the some of the other gods like Saradomin. We have Wen, who was the god of ice. We have that's three of them. I know I'm missing two more.
Isn't there one that starts with an F? Didn't you say
Yeah, there is.
Fen? Isn't
Fen-
it Fen? I don't know. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know why I'm spacing on these right now.
Yeah, you're usually like on top of this.
Yeah, I'm have. Okay, now I gotta pull them up here. Elder gods.
All right.
Jazz, Full, Wen, Bick, and Ma. There we.
Okay.
So, the one Full is the god of the one who created the Elder Kiln and the Takar race. Which I think of all the gods, Full, Wen, and Bick kind of fall into like the other ones, and then Jazz is kind of like the leader. I feel like of all the Elder gods, most people know Jazz, and
And
that's the
Ma.
yeah, and Ma. Well, Ma's dead, so
Yeah, I know.
imp-
I remember that. So
important,
sad.
but not really existing within the lore per se. But Jazz, we actually speak to at one point, and as the World Guardian in order to protect the world from Carapax. So, of these, I guess five Elder gods,
Carapace.
Jazz, I guess would be my favorite. Do either of you have a favorite out of these five?
What's the like the blue one?
When?
That's my favorite. Just because I like the color.
I don't really have a favorite per se, but I'd say Jazz is the one I'm most familiar with for sure.
Yeah. I liked the idea of the Elder Gods. My only issue with when they came into like lore is I kind of wish they didn't become our adversary. And this
Mhm.
is, I think, the biggest mistake that Jagex made with them. I really wish they would have stayed more just background characters, because once they became our enemy and we had to either appease Jazz or fight Jazz to the death, it kind of became a well, what else is there out there?
Yeah,
Because
agreed.
once you're strong enough to like fend back the god that created the universe, it almost feels like there's nowhere else to really go. Any other adversary feels kind of like trivial in comparison. And so like I think even though I really loved the introduction of them and the introduction of Zeros and Saren specifically, because I think they're like the way they started to interact with the other characters, and how you never really knew whether to trust Zeros because he is like created from darkness and dark anima, and his whole like idea was he's the deceiver. But you don't
Mhm.
know if that's just the stories that are told about him from the past because people had a grudge against him, or if he was truly a deceiving character and he is just deceiving you the whole time. Like I liked that aspect that you really couldn't tell whether he was good or bad.
Yeah, for sure.
And the same thing kind of went with Saren, where it's almost super obvious that she's like, well, she's clearly the good one. She's made out of light. Like no one has anything bad to say about her. But she's almost so obsessed with her love of family that she's willing to sacrifice the entire world for her own mother, which kind of feels like, well, you're kind of a bad guy then if you're willing to kill all of us for one of the gods. So it's like I like the fact that they kind of flipped the script on its head where you didn't know whether the god of deception was actually on your side and the god of serenity was evil. Like I thought that was really cool.
Mhm.
But then along with that you have this issue of these elder gods that come in becoming your enemy and you're like, well, after this, once we stop this, there's nowhere else for the story to really go. So now I got to ask Star, who is your favorite god? Because if we haven't mentioned them yet,
Well, you haven't mentioned him yet.
it's
It's
Bob the cat.
it's Alejandro.
okay. Oh, that's
Oh.
fair.
I like following through this story arc and how he's always been like that loyal um second in command person, and then he didn't choose godhood. It happened to him through the quest. Um but afterwards, like after he ascends, he's still like he struggles with, what do I do now? Like, what? How do I, like, I how do I? I don't. Do I deserve this? What do I do in this position? Like, I don't need to be a follower of Zeros anymore. And he really makes those questions, like, I don't know. It's like something, like if anyone was to ascend, that's what you would think they would do, versus others that we've seen ascend in RuneScape. They're already established, like Saradomin and
Yeah,
Zamorak
and Gothics and stuff.
and
Yeah,
Gothics. Yeah.
that's a really good point. It's the struggle of like that he has with I've been a follower. I continue to do my job following, never really questioning my position, and now because of my boss's decisions, I'm thrust in this new position of power. And what do I do with this new power? Do I continue to just be a follower and let this power go to waste, or do I do what I believe is best with it? And maybe that means turning or leaving the command of the person I followed since essentially the beginning of my existence in Gillinor. I think that's a real good it's a real interesting like question to have to ask yourself, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here because we kind of don't have an answer of what he's going to fully do with it.
Mhm.
So I was really hoping you weren't gonna like step into like the shadow god. What is it?
Oh,
Was it Zartak or whatever? I forget. It's the god Zautak. Yeah, because I wasn't really gonna go into that. The
fair.
god of the undead, and that's possibly from like another dimension entirely. We see Zautak for in the what is it Elite Dungeons quest line, along with I believe Zautak appears in the Pirate quest line, the Fremenite quest line, and at the very end of the Elder God quest line. Spoiler alert: maybe kills Jazz, at least takes him into another dimension, but was definitely able to injure Jazz because it was able to attack him in ways that we couldn't. So that did create, I guess, a new villain for us possibly. But we know so little about this god that it's kind of hard to really say. We know it's a god of undead, and that the pirates and stuff talk about this ancient evil, but that's about all we know. It's kind of like a Cthulian style. Like we don't really know about what it is, but once we see it, it's too late. So, is there any other major gods that you guys want to discuss? Maybe V or one of the other ones. I like Azanadra coming up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is there any other gods that we want to mention, or do we kind of touch all the important ones?
I think we hit all the important ones for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking through the list here, that trying to see if there's any that just spike an interest in me. Yeah, there's V, not really important because he's in and out in one quest. The god of the Fremenix. I
I
mean,
feel like
okay, we.
what's her face? What's her name? Serene,
I
whatever.
mean, yeah, there's
Yeah.
Saren. We could. I was gonna. Well, we didn't really talk about Saren or Zeros very much, but
I feel like they're both pretty important,
yeah.
but
So
yeah.
so Saren and to talk about them, they were the gods created by Ma. So Ma was one of the other gods that was was believed to be stillborn, and so she was left on on the planet that the elder god eggs hatched from, and just left to, well, she was stillborn, so just left there. But it turned out that she was still alive, and her dreams were like leaking out and becoming reality, and she created two like puppets of light and darkness to kind of be her toys, and those were Zeros and Saren. And eventually they gained sentience and power and escaped her rule. And eventually, when she dies, they become gods themselves, able to make decisions. Zeros decides he wants to become an Elder God himself, which kind of escalates the Elder God Wars events that lead us into struggles with Jazz. And Saren kind of just wants to. What was her goal? Just protect her mother and her mother's legacy from anybody like obstructing it. And so both of them kind of fall into like, are they on our side as the living creatures of the world, or are they against us, siding with siding with the other gods? And so Theron I never really liked. I'll be honest, I didn't follow her lore that much. I always felt that she was always trying to deceive us. Anytime anything good was happening, she always screwed it up by backstabbing us.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that feeling, Kelly, or is that just me?
I recently got that feeling. Like when we first met her, I was like, "Oh heck yeah, this is freaking awesome." But as like the quest lines kept going, I was like, "Wait, this really isn't awesome." So I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I know she liked her one thing was like, I want to protect the elves too. Like that was the other
Yeah,
thing was the elves and Ma above all else, even if it means the destruction of everything else in the world. And I'm like, that's kind of a bit extreme. And
yeah,
Zeros was the other way. It's like I want to become a elder god so that he claims, and then again, this is the whole do you trust the god of deception? He claims that he wants to become an elder god so that he can advocate for the rights of the people living on Gielinor. How much of that do you believe, or is that just his way of trying to get everyone to help him ascend to power? I don't really know.
yeah.
But
The latest quest, I forget what it was. Uh, but yeah, after the latest quest with her in it, I was like, "Yeah, I don't really like you anymore."
oh yeah, she legitimately tries to have you killed, and
Yeah.
she tried to trap everybody in a time loop essentially, so
What
that the
quest is
eggs would
that?
never have to be destroyed.
Yeah, what quest is that? Do we I forget
Um,
what it's called. It was just recent.
I I don't remember
Uh,
the name of it. Tom, do you remember?
I don't, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was like two quests ago.
yeah.
I guess
But yeah,
I'll pull it up here.
we don't like her.
What did
um,
Gothics ever see in her?
though
I don't know.
that was the crazy thing is like I think it's implied that the two of them were lovers or at least like extremely close
Yeah,
friends. I always interpreted it as like lovers, but
right.
I guess it could be I could be wrong in that regard. Let's see, City of Centistan goes into which quest?
I don't
Oh,
know. Maybe she's gonna redeem herself later, but right now we are on a friendship timeout with her because she almost got us killed multiple times.
uh, Extinction.
Yes.
The one where she tries to kill everything. Extinction. All right, so I think that about wraps it up. I don't think we missed any other gods, did we? If we
Don't
did,
know.
someone tell us how stupid we are in the comment section. Be like, you clearly forgot about Brandidus, the most important of the gods. Oh, I just remember the names of those boars that I just had that names of those boars that I forgot that popped into my head and it popped back out again. Dang it! Why can't I not remember that?
Oh
The ones that
What are
dropped the
words?
masks of Tusk, the pieces of Tuska's mask. The Arits. There we
no.
go.
Oh.
Oh,
There we go. Yeah, Tuska was the god of the Arits. Going back 20 minutes in our conversation here. All right, so I think that's gonna wrap us up. Do we want to jump into a game? There's only three of us. I don't know if there's
yeah.
enough people to really do a which guess the NPC 20 questions.
No, I feel like it's getting easier and easier. So
Right.
maybe this, I don't know,
We'll
might be
we'll
good
we'll
for
do
you.
another one next time when we have a couple more people, and then we'll do a deeper dive into a more structured lore discussion in an upcoming episode. So if you liked our ramblings about gods, even though it was completely unorganized, make sure to leave a like, and we'll definitely do some more again. We'll try to organize it a bit better though next time. Otherwise, I hope everyone had a good time listening, and we'll see you again in the next episode. Bye.
Yep.
Bye.